Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Midweek Mix-Up Weekend Edition after a prolonged break. We are back. Back once again for the Renegade Masters. Myself and, of course, my co-host, the General C. How are you doing today, sir? What you been up to?
Yeah, not too bad, not too bad. Been playing some games throughout the week, mostly DayZ. I did play a bit of Jedi Survivor, but we'll get to that later because I didn't have a great experience with that.
Yep.
What else have I been playing? A little bit of Dead Island 2 as well.
Yes. I'll get your thoughts on that as well because I
Mm.
haven't played that, so we'll get your thoughts on that.
I've not played a whole lot of Dead Island, maybe about 5-ish hours in total, maybe 6.
Yeah.
Majority of that I played during a stream that I did when the game came out that day, which the code was provided to me by I think they're called PlayOn. I think that's how they're pronounced. So yeah, I got a code provided to them to me by them. Jeez, I can't even get my words out. I'm tongue tied. Yes, it's a lot of fun, but we'll get to that.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. And myself as well. I've also been playing Jedi. But I've also been playing Eggs Benedict, or otherwise known as Benedict Fox. I was looking forward to that one actually, and I'm enjoying it so far, although I am a little bit lost at the minute in the game. I have got a little bit of gameplay footage of Eggs Benedict today, so I'm going to put that on the screen. And for Wednesday's show, I've got 2 hours worth of Jedi Survivor on Series X as well. So you'll get that on Wednesday, but today you've got a bit of Eggs Benedict for this obviously shorter weekend edition. But welcome to everybody in chat. Let me know what you guys have been playing this week. What you're up to. We already had one from Mr. Joanna Dark there. He's been playing some Dead Island 2, Last Case of Benedict Fox, or Eggs Benedict, and some Cassette Beasts on PC Game Pass. We were just talking about that before we went live. Literally just talking about that. It's another game we're actually looking forward to play. Yeah, that one's
been on my radar since seeing it in the Community Indie Showcase, which that happened a week ago, and it was fucking amazing.
Yes.
If you haven't seen it and you're in chat, definitely check that out on Dutch's channel here. It's amazing. Well worth the watch.
Yes, indeed. AJH in chat, speaking of showcase. Yes, I've got the timestamps underneath the showcase now, AJ. The game is underneath there. It's actually called Infinitesimals. It's a bit of a mouthful. During the showcase in chat, I think a lot of people said it was infinitesticles because they couldn't say it. No, Infinitesimals. And it's an Epic Store exclusive game at the moment, so it's PC only. That's why you won't be able to find it on Steam. It is Epic Store, because I think they're publishing the game as well. So that's where you'll find that game. Yeah, that's why. But yes, what else have people been playing? Hertog Vin is 100% Forza Horizon 5. He's been playing some Sea of Thieves, A Plague Tale Requiem, Gungrave, and Horizon Forbidden West on PS5. He's had a good mix then, a right good mix. Yeah, a lot of people don't like using Epic Store as well, AJ, but unfortunately they do have some of their own exclusives, and Infinitesimals is one of them at the moment. I would imagine that might come to Steam in the future, but yeah, wish list on Epic right now. What else? Have anybody else been playing any games this week? No. I'll try and read them out when people put them in the chat, but yes. But yeah, we'll get right into it today. There's a few smaller topics we want to cover. Of course, I'm going to get the thoughts on General C on Dead Island. I'm going to talk about Eggs Benedict. And then we'll both talk about Jedi. The plus points, because I've had an almost kind of flawless experience. I say almost because I've still had a couple of little things, but nothing like everybody else is. And we'll get the bad side, which is obviously what Jen's had to experience, and of course the worst side, which is even worse than what Jen's had to experience.
So, yep. I thought I had it bad.
Yeah. So
I had it way worse.
Yeah. But yes, good afternoon, and good evening, good morning, everybody around the world. Thank you for tuning in on this fine Sunday. First topic, first gen. I have not had the chance to play Dead Island, but I have seen a lot of awesome things there. Specifically, people are so hyped around the gore that they've got in this one, and just how much of a mechanic that is this time around. It's not just regular kind of gore, chopping off limbs type of stuff, but we're talking like literally like flesh melting off bones with acid, and like it is ultra gore. And the mechanic they've employed is just insane.
Gore is definitely over the top, but it's a hell of a lot of fun. It's like a part very early in the game where you have to go to this like massive pink-looking hotel, and there's like a swimming pool filled with some sort of like acid, and you can kick zombies in it, and they just dissolve in that. But there's a few zombies that don't dissolve. They're wearing like NBC sort of suits, so they don't dissolve because it's like rubber sort of suit.
The chemical warfare suits.
Yeah, chemical warfare suits basically. So yeah, those are a little bit trickier to be able to kill with that. Like when you do kick up, there's like puddles of acid all over the place as well. When you've got like acid barrels you can knock over. Like zombies will walk into that, and you can just see their like legs and flesh dissolve as they're like walking through it. And if you kick them over in it, you can see the flesh come off of their bones, and then there's pretty much just a skeleton left. So it's definitely grotesque, and some of it is pretty over the top, but it's fucking amazing the system they've got with the gore in this. Very close to what they did with the most recent Dead Space remake, and how that game's like flesh tearing system is over the top.
Yeah.
And just fucking creative with that.
You know what the funny thing is about this, Jen, is what was that other zombie game with the kind of parkour system? What's that called again?
Dying Light?
Yes, they after Dead Island 2 released, Dying Light released an update and patch for Dying Light 2 that increased the gore on that as well. So they've added another gore system on that. So it's like a kind of
I
gore.
never played Dying Light 2.
Yeah.
I never got around to playing it. I was more of a Dead Island person anyway, because like playing the original years back it's a classic. Every now and then I'll go back just to explore that island. This one, it's not much of a Dead Island because it's set in California.
Yes.
Like, it's not really an island, but it's by name it's still Dead Island.
Yeah.
But yeah, visuals are amazing in the game. There's some really creative locations, great things you can do to kill zombies, like setting up electric traps and all that, throwing car batteries and using them to your advantage. Same with the acid barrels. Weapon crafting, you got the ability to add like flames to your weapons, electrical stuff to your weapons. Pretty much all sorts. But I'm only around about 5 or 6 hours into it, so I'm sure there's more stuff later in the game that you unlock. There's guns in the game. I haven't reached that point myself yet. There's a lot of melee weapons. You can break zombies' legs so they crawl. There's some silly side missions in it. One of them you have to like help. It's basically a YouTuber, like a Californian style YouTuber, filming some viral video sort of thing, and you got to kick zombies off balconies, maim them, like break their legs and their arms and stuff. So there's a lot of creative side missions in it. I've already done a few of them, but I've seen my dad play the game as well, and it's a lot of creative side missions when you get further into the game.
Yeah. That's awesome. Yeah, definitely it's one that I didn't want to get at launch. It's one that I'll get in a sale at some point in the future, but it's definitely one I'll end up picking up now because I've heard nothing but good things about it. I'm going to quickly jump over.
It's well worth it.
Yeah, quickly jump over to chat for a second. Yeah, AJH said he's just recently finished It Takes Two with his girlfriend this week, and wow, honestly see why won Game of the Year. It's like hit feature creep and thought, fuck it, going for more and more and more. Yeah. That's an insane game, and if anybody hasn't played It Takes Two, I absolutely implore you to go out and play it. because the level of creativity in that game is insane. Like literally every new stage is completely different to the last one, and you get whole new mechanics every time. And like you either kind of go through a Diablo stage where you kind of one guy's a knight, the other guy's a wizard, and then you go through another one where it's like ice skating, and another one, and it's entirely different again. Such a wild game. We played it on the charity stream 2 years ago. Jesus Christ, it went quick. Charity stream 2 years ago and absolutely loved it.
It's way quick. Time has flown past.
Yeah. But yeah, we were.
I'm looking forward to what that studio does next.
Yes,
he keeps teasing released us. Another behind the scenes.
Yeah,
a behind the scenes picture of. Excuse me. But yes, it's going to be interesting what he makes, because he's very creative with the team he's got.
Yeah.
I expect him to do something good. I mean, we even played. I forget the name of it. A Way Out.
Yeah.
Recently, and that was good. Wasn't as good as the. I'm forgetting what it's called.
It Takes Two.
It Takes Two.
Yeah.
My memory's all over the place.
But even then, you can see his concept, because his concept from A Way Out was obviously came out before It Takes Two, and that was his first kind of concept on this kind of dual gameplay where only one person needs to own it and the other person just has to download it. Of course, if you both want the achievements, then both of you have to own it. But at least you've got the ability to play with anybody, whether or not they own it or not, which is an awesome feature. And I think a lot of games should have that, where if it's co-op, you don't get any achievements, you don't get any benefits for doing it if you don't own it, but at least you can play it with somebody. I think that's an awesome concept. But yeah, thoroughly enjoyed it, and it, as you mentioned, it thoroughly deserved Game of the Year that year, because it was just beautiful from start to finish. All of it. The story was brilliant. The characters were brilliant. The acting.
Each project he's done, it's been a step up, and that's what I'm looking forward to see next. What is his studio's next step up? I always forget the guy's name. Joseph Barras, I think it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he always does something bigger and better the next project, which is not many studios can pull that off as good as they hope to, and his studio does it really well.
Yeah, absolutely. One thing I want to do as well whilst I'm here is a quick shout out, and I don't have names and things in front of us, but obviously on the Community Indie Showcase, I didn't have things like super chats and things pop up naturally, because of course it's a showcase, but I did get a boatload of super chats on there as well. So for everybody who sent super chats in on the Community Indie Showcase to help kind of support, and all new members as well, thank you very much for the support. What I have done as well is, for those who want to be a member but don't want a large monthly fee or anything like that, I've made a really low-level base membership, which starts at 99p, which is kind of the lowest one. It's the midweek mix-up recruits. So if you want to be a member and you want all the emojis, you can now for £1 a month, £1. And of course, if you want to help by giving a little bit more, then they've got higher memberships and of course super chats. But yeah, I've made the base membership for those who want emojis and things like that just £1 a month now, so everybody can have access to those. And obviously we can't give those to anybody who isn't a member, because it isn't like Twitch where you can give them. You have to be a member to get emojis on this thing, so that's why I've put it down as £1. But thanks to everybody who supported, all the super chats and things that came in over the showcase. Really over the moon by all the feedback from everybody, and I am super happy that everybody enjoyed that as well. Of course, we've got another showcase coming up in September. So thankfully I'm taking a little bit of a break right now, but I've already started kind of the back end work on working on that. But full work will be going into that in August, beginning of August. I had a mind blank there. The showcase will take, and I'm just going to have a brief kind of look at the calendar here now. I'll tell you the exact date. September 23rd is the next showcase. September 23rd. So plenty of time. It falls after Gamescom, but before Tokyo Game Show and before the Game of the Year awards. So nice gap there between showcases. So should be good. Give something another showcase for people to look forward to. But yeah, David Mack, I am not sure if I did get a Redfall key. I am sure I'll find out very shortly when I check my key mailer and things like that. Whether or not I was successful getting a key this time round. If I was, tremendous. If I wasn't, then okay. But I don't think I've had any notifications about stuff like that. So
I haven't either. I don't actually think they've even started to give keys out from
I think
key mailer and places like that. It's usually for key mailer day of release or the night before is when you'll get it.
Yeah. AJ, we're also going to I'm going to Gamescom this year. I'm going to Gamescom with myself, Boxenberger, Mick, and Gaz from Game On Daily. He's going as well, so that's going to be fun. Definitely going to be fun.
Mm-hmm. Are you gonna record some stuff at Gamescom?
Yes.
Plan on doing something there, right?
Yep.
I don't want to speak just in case I'm wrong.
Yeah. We're going to be recording some stuff there, but we're also as long as the Wi-Fi's of a decent quality, we're going to be doing an impromptu Gamescom podcast when we're there as well. So that should be fun. That should be fun indeed. But it'll be an in-person one, so we're probably I'm gonna probably have to take a microphone or something like that and put it in the middle of all of us and do it that way. Because it's gonna be taking some tech to Gamescom, that's for sure, to make sure we get a lot of footage and things, so that'll be good. But yes, other than that, what else? Oh yes, let's get into before we get into the bad things, let's talk about the good things. Let's go over to some gameplay first and foremost. Plop. Here we go. There we go. So we've got some gameplay on screen now of The Last Case of Benedict Fox. So of course this came out on Game Pass on console and PC just the other day. I think it was same day as Jedi actually, if not the day before. And I
think so. I think it was same day.
And absolutely recommend it. It is a kind of Metroidvania style detective game. So you're going to go and find clues and solve mysteries, and of course it's got a little bit of combat in there as well, and boss fights and things like that. But it's a quirky little style. It's got some awesome audio to it. I've played probably about, I'd like to say maybe it's about 2 hours of it so far. It's relatively straightforward. It feels a little bit floaty, but you get used to it. Once you get used to it, it's all good. But it's not as responsive as, say, an Ori or a Hollow Knight or anything like that. There's a little bit of float to it. But yeah, it's awesome so far, to be fair. I've been looking forward to this one. This one, Ravenlock, who are both coming out very shortly. Super impressed by it, both on a visual standpoint for a Metroidvania, and this studio, actually, it's their first game that they've made. So it's even more impressive in my eyes. Usually you don't get kind of this kind of quality for an indie title, both from a graphical standpoint as well as a polish standpoint. Like, there's no bugs. I haven't come across. Actually, I've come across one bug, which you might see in this one, where for some reason when I loaded in to an area, it was all black, but then other things were popping up on screen. So I just simply opened up the map, teleported to another area, and it loaded everything in fine. So it was a minor glitch, but it's not game breaking by any means, and easily fixed. But I definitely recommend checking it out. Like I say, graphically, very impressive. Story wise, very intriguing. So you've got Limbo and the underworld, and you've got this kind of demonic.
So very Lovecraftian, like, inspired.
Yes. Yeah, very Lovecraftian. It's got this kind of demonic presence that follows you about and kind of gives you kind of backstory and hints and kind of added lore to what you're doing. So very interesting. Very interesting. Like you say, it's on Game Pass. So I would definitely implore everybody who hasn't tried it yet to definitely go out and give it a try. It's free, so why not? Why not? Have you are you thinking about playing this, Jen?
Yeah, definitely. I installed it on my Xbox and I've got it installed on my PC too, so I'm going to try it on both of them. I don't really play too many Metroidvanias, so not sure if I'm going to vibe with this or not.
Yeah.
Does look very interesting though. I like the art style. The art style's enough to pull me in and at least me give it a try. I'm sure this is something my dad will probably play because my dad's into like Lovecraft books and all that, so he's really into anything Lovecraftian. So
Yeah.
probably be more for my dad than it will be for me because I'm not really big into Metroidvanias, as I said. Don't play many of them. Can't even remember the last time I tried one. It's probably like over a year ago. But yeah, so it's worth jumping in. It's in Game Pass. I pay for Game Pass, so
Yeah.
it's not like it's a big deal if I don't try it because if I do and I don't go much on it, I can just uninstall it and try something else.
Yeah. Definitely. It is super puzzle heavy. It does require a lot of exploration because the clues to the puzzles are scattered around the map and the underworld. So it does kind of encourage you to go and explore everywhere, which is good. Obviously, not just stand around. The puzzle answers aren't in just one room. You have to kind of go to the underworld, fight beasties, take out bosses, and everything kind of advances the story. And with more clues the further you can progress. So certainly very interesting. Like I say, on an audio perspective, is brilliant. Visual perspective, very good looking. Controls wise, like I say, a little bit floaty. On an accessibility,
are they responsive though? The controls?
Yes. Yeah, a little bit floaty, but
so there's
responsive.
no like latency or anything like that.
No, it's not. It's not the latency. I think it's just the way that they've designed the character. He's a little bit floaty in his nature, but in terms of when you button press, everything is as is. It reacts when you want it to.
That's good.
On an accessibility front, surprising amount for an indie game, and in terms of on the difficulty level as well, for things like the puzzle solving, if you just want to ease, and it doesn't affect achievements, which is another bonus. So for those who aren't really great with puzzles or don't really want to faff around with puzzles too much and trying to kind of unlock them and stuff, as long as you find the puzzle pieces, you can auto solve them. But you can select it to be kind of story mode, so the difficulty isn't that bad, or you can choose kind of normal and then ultra hard, so the difficulty when you're facing enemies is difficult. Same with the puzzles, you can select it to auto solve puzzles, or you can select no help or a lot of help. And likewise, it just does that throughout the game, so it's got a kind of a lot of features there. Obviously, the colorblind features, the audio cues, everything is subtitled and has different colors depending on who's speaking and different sizes and things like that. So they've done a very good job for an indie game of giving a lot of accessibility features. So hats off to them for that as well. I don't think it would be a game that's playable for the sightless. It doesn't have any audio cue kind of features on it, but I would imagine it would be relatively difficult for sightless people to play this game anyway, with it being a Metroidvania and having like multi-level things, which obviously platforms and things like that you need to kind of jump into and grab the ceiling and things like that, and you have several items that you can get and upgrade, things that help you kind of hook onto the ceiling with your kind of shadow force that you've got to swing from one end to the other. You've got smoke bombs as well that'll help. You've kind of got like a police kind of truncheon that'll help as well, and you've got a pistol with a single shot. You can replenish that single shot though when you kind of get to different areas and portals, which is good. At first, when I first played it, I'd run out of a shot and then I couldn't use my gun again, and I didn't really understand why, but you can go and replenish that shot. So basically, the gun's like a last resort, so you can kind of take a shot and it's a one-shot kill.
Is there any upgrade systems in this?
Yeah, for the equipment that you use. So you've got an upgrade for the health regen portion. So you can you can have more of them, and you can have it more effective. Same goes for, it's kind of a stopwatch thing, which allows you to swing from one side to the other. Again, you can upgrade its effectiveness, and you can have kind of more shots as well. And then smoke bombs, likewise, you can increase its effectiveness and have more of them. So there's not too much things to upgrade, or not too much things to purchase in game, but you can do that. There is no MTX, of course. So we're talking purely in game stuff. And the way you get the credits to unlock them is simply by finding the puzzle pieces and the objects that solve the mystery anyway. So it encourages you at going and exploring and finding things. But super interesting game. Looking forward to getting into it. I am a little bit stuck at the minute with where to go. It kind of gives you some pointers, but there's that many kind of secret areas. You don't know what key unlocks what door. So it's kind of just trial and error. It's figuring out where you're going. And I haven't unlocked the full map yet, but every time you unlock something in the underworld and you progress the story a little bit more, another little section of the house unlocks. And so you've got this like house kind of map, which is got no enemies or anything like that, and just puzzles and things you have to solve. And then you've got the underworld, which is where the enemies are, which people will see on screen here. So yeah, super interesting. I'm definitely looking forward to playing more of it. It's a nice little break in between playing Jedi Survivor, in between playing a giant kind of AAA, which we'll get into is a lot bigger than I even thought. I didn't realize just how big Jedi Survivor was going to be in comparison to Jedi Fallen Order. It is mammoth. And we'll obviously get onto that, but yeah, super impressed by this so far. Really interesting game. Really liking the story. And like I say, the acting and things like that is really cool as well. The aesthetics is super cool. Yeah, I don't really have much of a bad thing to say about the game so far. Looking forward to getting into a little bit more of it.
I'm likely going to try this out tonight after the podcast. I'll probably go play a bit of this either on my Xbox or on the PC right in front of me. Likely on the Xbox though, because it's nice just to sit back and not be at a keyboard.
Yeah, exactly. And I'll get your thoughts on it on Wednesday's show, along with the other panel members who I know have tried the game out as well. I know Pat has. I think Boxy has
Pat
as well.
Streamed a little bit, right, on his channel.
Yeah, I think he did. Yeah. Yeah, super interesting. I just like the way the story's progressing so far, and how it kind of progresses in between, and all the little beasties you get, and there's like a boss fight there. There's like boss fights there as well, actually. And there's nothing on the achievements front as well that is like super difficult. It's like upgrade all your items, defeat the bosses, and then progress the story. Fully upgrade all your items.
So there's no like achievements for like difficulty setting or anything like that?
Nah.
It's good. I hate it when games do that. Lock achievements behind a difficulty setting that I'll never attempt in my life.
Like I say, that the hardest part about this game anyway is more the solving of the puzzles, and that's hard enough as it is. I don't think in this type of game you need a kind of a combat difficulty. I think the puzzles and finding all the puzzle pieces and putting them all together and solving those is the harder part of it. So I think lowering your own difficulty levels just to like simply enjoy the game is kind of the better thing for it. And I think that it kind of helps the game a little bit more on that front. No, super impressed. Really, really good looking game. Handles really well. Sounds really good. Plays well. Story's really cool. So definitely recommend people go out and check it. 100%. On that note, before we move on to Jedi Fallen Order, another awesome game that's coming out next week, which we're looking forward to, is Ravenlock.
This was also in the indie showcase, and it looks really good.
Yeah, super good. I can't wait to play that. It's an action RPG. they made Echo Generation. Echo Generation was a cool turn-based RPG, again in voxel art. It did have its flaws, though. As much as I loved Echo Generation, I got to a point where it just couldn't progress. And it did it on numerous occasions, so I couldn't finish it. I'm going to go back and I'm going to play it again. Hopefully it's been patched since then so I can actually finish it, because I thoroughly enjoyed my time with it. But in terms of art styles, the voxel art style for it is absolutely phenomenal. I love that art style. It looks super, super crisp and clear. So I'm looking forward to diving into that one, especially as an action RPG. It's a little bit different. It's more of a kind of an open world, kind of Zelda-esque type of thing, as opposed to a turn-based. So I think it's going to get a lot more people interested in it as well, playing that. Is that something you're going to be picking up, Jen?
Yeah. I'm gonna have a go with that. It's on Game Pass, if I'm correct, right?
Yes, yeah. Thankfully.
Yeah, be another game I'll try out. It looks like it's going to be a blast. Yeah, it's like any game, you don't know until you actually play it yourself.
Yeah, and that's a good thing about, and one thing I always kind of implore everybody, especially with these little indie games as well, is the indie developers and indie kind of games are super happy for every little bit of feedback and kind of any bit of support, playing the game, showing screenshots. They're super happy for every bit of it. And considering they're on Game Pass and you don't have to go out and pay money for them outright to even try them, is huge for them. So definitely go out and check it out, both Ravenlock and Last Case of Benedict Fox. And for those on PC, Cassette Beasts as well. We'll be diving into that, and I'll give my thoughts on that in the middle of the week.
Basically, if you have Game Pass, you've got no excuse not to try it.
Yeah.
At least give it a shot. Play a solid hour of it and make your decision.
Yeah. And believe it or not, half of these games, and especially a lot of these indie games, they're not super long. So like an hour of it is a good chunk of the game. Like an hour is usually either sometimes like a sixth of the game, a fifth of the game, or an eighth of the game. Like they're not super long. They can be anywhere between like 5-6 hours to 8 hours in length as maximum. So some of them are super long and they're like 10-12 hours, but that's rare. But you're going to get a really good idea as to whether or not you like the game in like an hour's worth of gameplay. So go out and try them. Like I say, it's part of Game Pass. If like me, when you super like an indie game, then you go out and buy it, that further supports the developers. And for people like Last Case of Benedict Fox, for instance, it's their first game, I think that's something that will probably end up doing on that one as well, is going out and getting this game and physically supporting them outside of just Game Pass. Of course, I've already had that little bit of Game Pass bag, so it's helped them out. But yeah, super impressive work so far. Congrats to the team behind Last Case of Benedict Fox on the launch. But yeah, a lot more to look forward to this week. Of course, with Ravenlock, Last Case of Benedict Fox, and Redfall coming out all within the space of a few days. It's been a good week for gaming. It has. What hasn't been a good week for gaming, however, Jen, is games releasing broken. Specifically talking about Jedi Survivor.
Yep.
Now,
as you can tell, I'm disappointed with that.
Yep.
I've been deflated about that game, like over the last 48 hours.
Yeah. I'm going to give a little disclaimer
really
here before Jen gets into it, because we're going to get Jen's full thoughts. A little disclaimer here. I am what you would class as one of the lucky ones. I was in exactly the same boat when it came to Cyberpunk on that release. Cyberpunk was one of the worst releases on PC and console when it launched. It was broken beyond recognition, specifically on old-gen consoles, but even on PS5 and Series consoles, it had issues. And on PC, it was also pretty broken. And I was one of the lucky few who, again, had no issues. The biggest issue I had on Cyberpunk was your typical kind of open world GTA cars clipping into floors type stuff. And then I also had a weird bug where when you have just finished playing as Johnny Silverhand and you've got that weird fuzziness about you, it stayed that way unless I saved the game, came out of the game, went back into it, and then it went. So it was an easy fix on my end. It was just annoying. But outside of that, I didn't have anywhere near the issues other people had, where it was like severe frame drops and like crashing every 2 minutes. I had none of that. So I was lucky on that front. However, I'm also lucky on Jedi Survivor because I'm in exactly the same boat again. Having played the game, the most I've had is a little bit of a frame stutter, but only when going from a cutscene, like a big cutscene between the main world and the next planet. So, or if you go out of a cutscene into another section, I might get like a little bit of a frame stutter, and then textures kind of take a second to pop in. But then the actual gameplay in those levels has been flawless, and I haven't had any frame stutters or issues or crashes. I've had nothing on that front. So, whilst it's not been completely bug free, it's actually, for me, well playable. However, that isn't to say there isn't a big issue with this game, because there is a big issue with this game. Whether it be little, medium, or large, people are having varied amounts of problems with this game, and Jen's probably in that middle section. And it kind of, he's going to talk about that. We'll obviously round it out with our good thoughts of it, but we'll have to cover the negatives of it first and foremost. And Jen, I want you to get your rant off, get talking about it. What's happened, what's been causing you issues, and what are your feelings on this?
Well, I streamed this the night the game came out, or the day the game came out. That evening, I streamed it. It was my plan to stream it. My chat voted on Star Wars being the game that I would stream next, pretty much.
Yeah.
So, obviously at the time it was delayed back then, so I had to push playing Jedi Fallen Order back because I had no choice. Unfortunately, it wasn't smooth sailing for me because I had a lot of frame rate issues dropping. It was significantly noticeable, enough to make like my eyes feel strained. It's that level of choppiness and frame rate drops, and the stuttering was kind of obnoxious. I'm the type of person that goes into the settings right away and turns off motion blur, chromatic aberration,
Same.
film grain. I get those right off because they're an off-put to me. I don't like motion blur. It makes me...
Yeah, I don't know why you'd want film grain on your games. Film grain or chromatic aberration. They're things that are designed specifically for actual films. Do not work well in games, and I don't know why developers continue to put them in there. Ditch them. No one wants them.
My issue with that is I turned that off.
Yep.
And I went back to the game.
Yep.
And I could still see it. And I thought maybe the settings hadn't registered, so I went back in, and they're still off. The settings are still off, but I don't know what it is, whether it's a glitch or a bug in the settings, but it literally refuses to take chromatic aberration, motion blur, and film grain off. So I'm stuck with this constant motion blurring and the obnoxious chromatic aberration and the film grain because it just won't go off. And no matter how many times I closed the game, completely closed the game properly, I even did a power cycle on my Xbox and it was still there constantly. And that's not too bad, but when you get to the point where the frames drop in as well, it makes it even more obnoxious. So that is constantly dealing with that for I think 3 hours straight is pretty much how long I streamed that for. It's a bit of a headache after a while because your eyes are constantly been strained. And there's a reason why I only really tend to play 60 FPS games. I very rarely play 30 FPS games unless it's like on a handheld device because it's not too much of a strain if it's close. If it's from a distance, for me, because I'm pretty much, I was supposed to be wearing glasses, but I don't.
Yeah.
But from a short distance, I notice not short distance, a long distance, I notice issues with things. As for the other issues I had with the game, I've had a few crashes. When I was streaming, I had a black screen incident, and that really made me have to reload the game again. Basically, close the game out fully, and load it up again. That happened multiple times off stream as well, because I ended up going and playing on the bigger screen in the other room and playing on my other Xbox. Because when I stream, I obviously stream on a monitor.
Yeah.
So I thought maybe that's the issue, and it's the monitor. No, it wasn't that. It was still happening even on the big TV, which is one of those all singing, all dancing TVs that most of us got specifically for the Series X.
Yeah.
It's one of them ones that cover all the settings you need when you go in the 4K settings. So it weren't just me having issues because of my monitor or something like that.
Yeah.
And another thing is I have a monitor that has not V-Sync. What's the AMD version of?
G-Sync.
I think it's that. It's one of the things that's supposed to keep your frame rate stable.
Yeah.
So it's nothing to do with those. It's performance issues on Respawn's part.
Yeah.
And that comes down to rushing. I think to see what this game would have looked like 6 weeks ago when it was originally intended to launch.
Yeah. Yeah. As a further thing here as well, it seems like it's more the issues are definitely centered around the performance mode more than they are the quality mode. Now, of course, for those of you who want to play in 60 frames, which Jen is obviously adamant he wants to play his games, especially action games, in 60, where possible.
It's better for me and not feeling like my eyes are being strained.
Yeah.
You know, I don't want to have to sit there constantly with glasses on just to enjoy something.
Yeah. Yeah. So it is primarily an issue when it comes to the performance mode, is where a lot of the crashes and bugs and issues are. Quality mode seems to be relatively okay, and that's what I'm playing on. So I've said this on numerous occasions. As a personal preference, this isn't for anything else. As a personal preference, for anything outside of first-person shooters, simulators, i.e. racing games, etc., excluding Flight Sim, because that's a complete another one-off. Racing sims, fighting games, first-person shooters, or competitive games, they need to be 60 frames for me. They are set games that I will not give any leeway to. They need to be 60 frames. When it comes to action-adventure games...
Very few games I'll play in 30 frames per second because I don't feel like my eyes are being strained. Like
Plague Tale.
A classic Pokemon-style game, like over-the-top sort of thing, is a game I can play in 30 frames per second because it's not moving at like super intense speeds like you need to move in this sort of game.
Yeah.
Like Jedi Survivor requires you to have to react quickly in certain situations, and you notice the frame drops then. And with the performance issues on top of all of that being the frame issues, becomes a headache. And then you do feel like if you're like me and you suffer with eye strain, if the frame rates are not stable, it does affect you. And then you do feel, in a way, motion sickness.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. We can understand now why Redfall opted to just release the game with the 30 frames mode and not risk sending out a buggy 60 frames mode. Obviously, a lot of people are disappointed that it's not launching with 60 frames, but right now, I've got to say, it was a good idea for them because the heat that Jedi's getting because of this buggy-ass launch on performance mode would have sunk Redfall if it launched like that. And Microsoft cannot afford a game to launch like that, which is why they've said, listen, 30 frames is clearly silky smooth, so we'll get that out, but we'll bring the 60 frames afterwards. And it was obviously a very last-minute decision because it's obviously printed on the box. Like the box says 60 frames.
They got like a little sticker stuck on the box.
It's a sticker that they've had to put on it now from retailers that says 60 frames not available at launch. But they were obviously ultra confident in the fact that it would have 60 frames to the point where they were printing the material out saying 60. So it was obviously a last minute decision that they've made to say, listen, 60 isn't stable yet. So we're going to have to kind of just postpone. And to be fair, I think it's not going to be too long after launch that 60 frames arrives for Redfall. I really don't. I think it's going to be a matter of maybe.
Hopefully.
I think it's going to be a matter of a week or two at most. I think it was just a case of we're almost stable, but not stable enough to launch it without getting flack. So we'll hold it for a second. We'll get it out at 30, and within a week or so of it dropping, we'll have that 60 frames patched in. I really don't think it's going to be super delayed. Not like.
Hopefully it's not.
Yeah, I just don't think, and Arcane's not the type of developers that have made issues in the past. Like, they've been super consistent. Arcane have got a really good track record. They're not like a notorious studio for having issues. So I'm giving Arcane the benefit of the doubt on this one. It isn't a Microsoft issue. This was a game that was in development prior to Microsoft taking over. They haven't had involvement in this. Not only that, but people have to realize at this point as well, Bethesda stipulation of being at Microsoft was that they are in control of their own games and they self-publish. So it's very much Bethesda regulated, same as Starfield. The only thing Microsoft would have had a hand in is saying, listen, when is this game launched on time? If not, you need more time to launch it. As a group, we'll give you that more time if you need it. Like, you don't have to kind of ask Todd or anything like that. If you need more time, like, you can reach out and we'll give you it. And of course, Microsoft intervened on Starfield for the same reason. They didn't think after seeing the game it was quite ready for launch, so they postponed it. And that's where we are now. So I think Microsoft are happy with the game in the way that it is on Starfield for 30 frames. I don't think they'd put out a game broken. So I think in terms of its stability on 30 as a game, it's fine. They've even launched an absolutely epic final release trailer for it, if anybody hasn't seen it yet. But that is a phenomenal trailer. It's exactly what it needs to do. It kind of showcases what the game's all about in one nice little kind of minute and a half long trailer. It's nice, short and sweet. So I think the game's going to look and run really good at 30. But it's a first-person shooter, so I'm going to stick to my guns. And much like Jen, we've got PCs capable of playing Redfall at 60, so that's where we'll be playing Redfall at launch.
Mm-hmm. I will not be playing Redfall at launch on a console.
That said,
that's for sure.
That said, for the purpose of the show and being a podcaster and being able to speak frank about the experience for both modes, I'll also be playing Redfall on console to give an accurate representation of my thoughts on that on the show. However, that's not where I will be primarily playing the game, so I'll put it on to get a good understanding of how it feels at 30. I'll play maybe an hour or two of it at 30 frames to understand what it feels like, and if it kind of is passable for people to go on and play it, or if I can, having played it at 60 and above on PC, can go and recommend them a wait. So I'll be able to give that good kind of like for like there.
And hopefully this game doesn't have any performance issues.
Yeah, I think, like I say, I think the fact that they've opted to push out the performance mode at launch tells you that they're more concerned that they have a stable game at launch than pushing something out where it's buggy, which for me is the better thing. I think people want games delayed, but devil's advocate, and I'm going to play devil's advocate here. Devil's advocate on game releases is there comes a point where financially you can't delay games anymore, and you start losing money, and it becomes then a financial headache because you're like, the longer we push this game out, the more we're spending internally on getting this game ready, and we're not making anything on it as yet. So we're actually already much more negatively in the hole than we ever were. And the game's not even released yet because we've had to delay it X amount of times. So on that front, I say if developers, and again, we should have them automatically, but this comes an issue where you've already set these deadlines and these timeframes to the public. So we've always said don't give a release date until it goes gold, and I stand by that point. I don't think they should give release dates until the game's gold. Give a kind of rough thing, say it's coming out fall 23, but if it doesn't make that and you want to push it back, then you can push it back because it wasn't a definitive release date. But if you're going to give a set date, that best be when the game's gold, you've tested it, you know it's fine, there isn't issues, and you can push it out. Beyond that point, if you've already set that date and you haven't got to work in 60 frames mode, at this point, the thing I can suggest to do would be don't launch with the performance mode. Launch it at 30. If that is stable, if you have a stable and working game at 30, but the performance isn't quite ready, then launch it at 30, because from a financial perspective, on studios' fronts, there's only so much time you can delay a game before it becomes financially unviable for that game to not launch. So you have, devil's advocate wise, there's two sides of the coin. We shouldn't be waiting for games to launch buggy and broken, but on a studio front, they can't just continue to delay games forever until they're working for a singular mode, because then it's going to be then they'll never recoup the cost of the game. They'll just never do it.
I think my point on that is, if you're going to release a game and it does miss features at launch,
yeah,
you can't be charging full price for that.
Nope.
Give it a little bit of a discount at least.
Yeah.
You know, with my point on Jedi Survivor, I don't want to pay $70 or £70 for a game and it doesn't work as intended.
You paid more.
Well, technically I paid more because I got the deluxe edition.
Yeah.
But as a person, say for instance, like the majority of people, they don't buy the deluxe edition.
You know what the bonus you're going to have is though, Jen? Here's a bonus for you. When you get that game and it's working again, when you get it at half price, you're going to get the deluxe features at no additional cost because you've already got a save game.
That's the point.
Win.
That's what I didn't mention as well on the point of Jedi Survivor. I got a refund.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I took a stance. I'm not going to support a game that doesn't work as intended at launch.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And that's what people should do. If you're not happy with the product that you've got, then get a refund. Go back to the game when it's working again or when you're confident that it is. The best way to do it, and I've seen a few people do this that have refunded the game, keep it installed. That way you know there's patches coming. You know when the patches are and what the size of the patches are, etc. And at least you know when you do go to it, okay, this has had at least 10 patches because I've seen it. I'm gonna try it again now.
See, I didn't know that until after I uninstalled the game.
You'll still be able to install it anyway.
I don't think I can. It's actually disappeared from my
Xbox app.
Games thing. Because
Xbox app.
Well, I can actually. I can do it through the app. I forgot about that.
Yeah. So if people are waiting and they want it installed beforehand, for those on Xbox, you can install the full game on Xbox app without buying it. You can't play it, of course, but at least you'll know when it's getting its updates and its patches.
So to go on Rayoid's point, there was a day one patch, but not for consoles. It was for PC.
And it didn't do anything. It didn't do anything to a point where it was substantially fixed. It's going to be a lot of issues with this that need fixed.
The biggest thing about it that sucks is the fact that I'm a Star Wars fan. I pretty much watch every Star Wars TV show that comes out. I've watched every single Star Wars movie. I'm planning on going to bloody Galaxy's Edge next year and doing pretty much the full shebang there.
Yep. I mean, you're going to be blown away by Galaxy's Edge, by the way. Honestly, the level of detail
I can't wait for that.
Disney put into Galaxy's Edge is absolutely phenomenal. Phenomenal. And of course, you've got the characters floating around. You've got unbelievable, lifelike animatronics of all the different creatures and aliens and things like that. You've got stormtroopers walking around, Wookiees, like Darth Vader, Darth Maul. You've got all the characters floating around the place. It's really...
Yeah, and most importantly, my favourite one, the Mandalorian.
Yes. Yep. He comes out of an I sent you the picture of the ship. Actually, he comes out of that ship with Kylo. He walks out of that ship with Kylo in Disney. So like him and Kylo standing side by side, having a little chin wag and things like that, and walking around. So yeah, but yeah, I know it's probably you really love Star Wars and you were super hyped for this game. So it's a damn shame. And you know what? The one thing that was bothering me the most about it was more. I don't really place this on the devs because I know it'll be an EA thing. They know the success of Fallen Order. They know how well that game did. So they would have pressured this team to get out this game. Come love no money.
It just goes to show that 6 weeks delay. Sorry, 6 months. The 6 weeks delay wasn't enough.
It wasn't sufficient.
They probably needed to go maybe 8 to 12 weeks, and that would have been perfect.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, they didn't. They pushed it out just, a little over a month, and it launched with a lot of issues for a lot of people.
Yeah. Yeah, and I have to disagree with Digital Foundry as well, who did an analysis and said it was the worst launch for like in history or something like that. I completely disagree. Cyberpunk was way worse.
Cyberpunk was way worse.
Way worse. Way worse. To a much higher degree. This is playable. This is literally, the game is broken on performance mode, but it is absolutely playable on quality mode. On Cyberpunk, it was not playable on any mode. And on several consoles, it wasn't playable at all. It was like 12 frames a second on just a normal mode. It was a broken...
Yeah, at the time Cyberpunk came out, my dad still had an Xbox One, and it looked fucking awful.
Yeah. It was horrendous.
You couldn't even see people's faces. It was that bad.
Yeah. Yeah. But no, I feel the one thing I hope this doesn't do is cause EA to go back and start worrying about single-player game stuff again. Because this is a phenomenal game. Story-wise, action-wise, like everything so far is already, from what they've got in content, is already better than Fallen Order. I can tell you that now when I'm only 6 hours in.
From what I played, I really enjoyed it. I was in my element. But the performance issues kind of put a damper on that. They mar their experience.
And I fully blame EA for that.
And that's why I didn't go any further with it.
Yeah. I fully blame EA for that, not Respawn. I think Respawn would have loved more time.
It's not Respawn's fault. Respawn, of course, would have loved more time. It's like really any development studio. They would love more time to get their project done. And done to justice, not releasing a half-baked or 75% baked product.
Yeah.
It comes down to shareholders and CEOs
setting unrealistic time limits on them.
Yeah, setting unrealistic timing and not letting their development studios have the extra time to release the project as it was intended to be released.
Yep. And Barely Making Red said exactly the same thing. Now, the game's great. It's just a buggy like everything else these days. It's a fix-it-later attitude that spreads across the industry. I absolutely agree. That's exactly what we've got now. Because we're in this digital age.
Pretty much what I said about it.
This digital age where it's release now, fix later mentality. We shouldn't have to deal with that stuff. And I feel sorry for it. And more than ever, I feel sorry because you don't see these kinds of issues with indie games. You really don't. You don't. The games release on their time because they know this is when we're ready and we're happy with the game releasing this way. And if there is an issue,
very
few
indie games launching in this condition. Very few.
Yeah,
like, it's
ultra rare.
Probably less than 2%.
Yeah. Triple A's. It's every game.
AAA games development. It's usually shareholders and CEOs that want projects out at a deadline so they can line their wallets with the profits.
Yep. It's every game, so there needs to become an issue now. But it is an issue. It's becoming more and more prevalent. The more complex and bigger games get, the more things that they use in it, the worse that they're getting. So something needs to happen. I think this is the reason.
The problem lies mostly with the fact that when this originally started to happen, back when we were heading to a more digital style games release where they release updates at a later date. It comes with people being complacent and letting it slide. That's what's led us to this problem getting worse, and that's where we are now. And now people are getting to the point where they're fed up with it, that they're starting to, like me, get refunds for games when they launch messy.
Yeah.
Because why should we support that?
Yeah.
We're the consumer. We should expect and demand better from a product that's been sold to us, and it's supposed to be playable in all these specific modes like performance and quality mode, and they launch buggy, ruining people's experience.
Yep, absolutely.
Why should it be down to me to pay £70 or $70 for your game, and it launches with features that are not working? Like, for instance, the option to turn off motion blur, chromatic aberration, switch between the quality and performance modes. Why is it me every time? Well, obviously not just me as a whole. People that buy games day one, period, for newly released games. Why is it down to us to be treated like a premium beta tester?
Yeah, and Barely Making Rent's got a really good point there. There's plenty of games that we can play, so just take your time, finish the game, and we'll be happier when you launch a complete game. Absolutely. Like they're in this weird kind of time frame where they think that everybody has to have this game by a certain point because they've got nothing else to play. Where it couldn't be further from the truth. We've got more games to play this month alone and next month than we've ever had. We've got Zelda, Redfall, Star Wars, Ravenlock, Cassette Beasts, Last Case of Benedict Fox. What else we got this month? There's a mountain. There's like 10, 12 games. You've just had Dead Island 2.
You know what? Yeah, my dog is snoring like a trooper. Jeez.
Like, there's mountains of games. Next month, June, we're talking.
To the point of Dead Island.
We're launching June.
You mentioned Dead Island. One of very few games in recent years that have launched near perfect.
Yeah.
I can't tell you really anyone that I've noticed that's bitched or whined about Dead Island having any issues.
And the thing with Jedi as well, that's going to, and I say this for me personally, but what Jedi needs to do is get on top of this super quick, because June's going to be another packed month. We've got Diablo launching, for crying out loud. That is going to be an absolute juggernaut. If you think people aren't going to just drop this game if it's not patched and jump onto Diablo, people they're highly mistaken. I want to have this game finished by the time Diablo comes out, because I'm not going to be playing anything else. Then Street Fighter launches. Then what else have we got in June? There's loads. There's mountains of games.
I think a lot of it with EA comes down to not only the shareholders. They know how much of a powerful IP Star Wars is, and that a lot of fans are going to let that slide.
Yep.
But there's also going to be a lot of fans that are not going to let that slide. Because if there's one thing about Star Wars fans, it's that they're very vocal when you piss them off.
Yes. Yeah. Almost as vocal as the FromSoft fans.
And there's some specific parts in the Star Wars fandom that are very toxic.
Extremely toxic.
And you need,
absolutely.
And those will, they'll say some horrendous things.
Yeah. Yep. Rayoid's got a point as well. I think they wanted to build hype around the May the 4th. I agree. But let's hope they've got a big ass patch out by May the 4th. That solves a lot of these issues. If they've got a couple of stability patches over the next few days that fixes a lot of the main issues, they could be all right. But they need to get on top of it sharpish, super sharp, fix a lot of these issues.
I think every time a game comes out and it's marred by these types of issues, consumers should get some form of compensation if they've purchased the product.
Yeah.
Whether that be in the form of some free outfit or something for the game, or they give you a, 5 or 10% cash back or something like that. It goes into your whatever account that you purchased the game on.
I have to shout out for Sea of Thieves, yeah, because they do that. They do just that. Even when they've got the servers down for longer than expected, when they're doing maintenance, they'll say, "Oh, sorry for the delay." Like, everyone's going to get a free ship set, or sorry for the delay. He has 10,000 gold each or something like that. Like they do it consistently. Like
it's not like EA couldn't afford that.
Yeah.
They're a multi-million-dollar company.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure they can afford making a cheap costume to give to people just to be like, oh yeah, that's cool, thanks. At least you appreciate that we've given you feedback and you're giving us something in return for the inconvenience.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Doesn't have to be massive. It just needs to be a kind gesture to go, sorry, we fucked up.
Yeah.
Here's a piece of content on us.
Yeah. Or even from their side, they just go, sorry guys, like we know you paid 70 for this game or you paid 100 for this game, whatever you paid. Like he has a $10 kind of voucher. Here's a $10 voucher. Like, sorry. Like
then you got the people that bought the collector's edition that's like $300 or whatever.
Yeah, I mean they're super happy with their lightsabers though.
they can spin around in their room playing with their lightsaber while they wait for the patch. So
yeah, just wait.
I'll have one of them too next year.
I'll yeah, but
when the camera goes off, Dutch is swinging that lightsaber around.
The thing is, that these lightsabers are action ones, so they're actually meant to be hit towards, like hit against other ones. So they make sounds when you hit them and swoosh them about.
Crashing sounds, yeah.
So that's why they're friggin' expensive. But yeah, to get one of those with the collector's edition is great stuff. And of course, they sell the Cal Kestis sword in Disney Galaxy's Edge now, so interesting.
I'm going to be like a kid in a chocolate factory when I go to that place.
You need to try the blue milk as well. Yep. Tasty. Super tasty. Really nice. They sell some...
So the thing is, we're planning on also doing the hotel thing, which I mentioned to you in the DMs. For those that don't know what that is, it's like a Star Cruiser themed hotel. It's pretty expensive.
Super expensive, yeah. Unless you're a Disney Vacation Club member, which you can't be one unless you're in the US anyway, or if you're something like that, or a season pass holder or something like that for Disney. Unless you're one of those, which realistically you're only going to be if you live in the US, because it's pointless being a Vacation Club member when you're in the UK, because you're not going to get there every year, and you're certainly not going to get there more than once a year, even if you did. So
I'm treating this like a once in a lifetime thing. I'm only going to do it the once, and if I'm going to do it the once, I'm going to do as much as I can possibly do.
You say that, Jed. You say that. But
I say that
as a big ass kid, which I am, on my 4th trip to Disney.
Well, that's what I'm going to try and treat it like, at least. Knowing me, I'll go there and I'll be like, shit, I need to do this again.
Yep. Yeah, well, if you need someone to go to Disney in the future once you've been, mate, just give us a shout. I'll happily go back again. Love the place. And of course, they've got the Tron ride there now, which they've only just opened, which would be absolutely awesome.
The thing is, I imagine that they're constantly going to expand on this Star Wars stuff, because as we know, they've got shit loads of films and projects in the works.
Yeah, they do. If you watch the Disney D23, they always do a theme park section on their annual kind of report, and they tell you all the new rides that they're putting in across the parks and all the new features and events and shows and things like that. So they've always adding, they're always expanding, and because they own 44 miles squared of land for Disney property, which is larger than Newcastle upon Tyne and Sunderland combined.
Damn.
Yep. And when you get there, you'll realise just how big Disney property is. They've got their own fire stations, they've got their own police, they've got their own transport infrastructure, they've got their own solar infrastructure, they make their own vegetables for all the food that you eat. Like, they are self-sufficient. It is they're literally their own county.
I've seen some of the food in that hotel, and it looks really good.
First thing we do every time, and I recommend you and your dad to do this as well, when you go into Magic Kingdom, go to Casey's Corner, which is just before the castle on the left-hand side at the very end of the street, and they do a foot-long chili cheese hot dog, and it is absolutely
Bloody hell.
unbelievable. Especially when like you've just got off the plane, you're like, what we're doing first? Like we've got like it's late. We'll go and catch the show, like the fireworks show, and we'll get some food. So straight to Casey's Corner, get your nice big chili cheese, foot-long chili cheese hot dog with fucking chips on the side. Bosh.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. It'll be the first time I've ever gone to America.
You'll love it. Food-wise, it's just ridiculous. Like, they do not know portion control. And any Yanks watching this, you know exactly what I'm talking about. There's no such thing as portions over there. Everything's massive. Like even the likes of the Starbucks they've got in there, man. Like our venti is a relatively large drink. Their venti is like 1.5 liters.
You can go into a shop and get like a gallon of Coke in like one of them sippy cups.
Yeah.
A gallon of Coke. Jeez.
Yeah, it's obscene. You're like, holy shit. But yeah, it's phenomenal. I know you're a massive Disney fan, so I know when you go into Galaxy's Edge, because it's inside of Hollywood Studios, so there's one thing you need to do before you go into Galaxy's Edge as well. And I know we're going off on a bit of a tangent here, but this is the weekend edition where you do that. When you go into Hollywood Studios, of course, it is the home of Rock and Roller Coaster and things like that as well. So obviously the Aerosmith ride, phenomenal. You've got not the Haunted Mansion, I forgot what its fucking name is now. Tower of Terror. The Twilight Tower of Terror. That's cool as well. They've got a new 4D animation ride with Mickey and Minnie and things like that, which is insane in terms of its visuals. So definitely recommend that. But before you go into Star Wars, they've also got another kind of 3D shuttle ride as well, which is awesome that you can go into. And you can't miss it because there's a giant AT-AT standing outside of it. Like a full-sized, 1-to-1 scale AT-AT standing outside. You walk underneath that, you've got these shuttles. So do you know them little like escape pods that you get into on like from the Star Cruisers and things like that? You're in an escape pod, so you go inside of that, and it's got like a different, every time you go on, it's an entirely different scenario. So you'll never have the same scenario twice. It's always a little bit different, and it always can turn out a little bit differently as well. So recommend that before you go into Star Wars. And then as soon as you can't miss Star Wars because there's a giant wall that separates it that's Star Wars themed. And as soon as you cross that barrier, everything is like you're on Planet Hoth or something like that. Like you don't think you're in Disney, you literally think you're in another planet. That's how detailed it is. It's phenomenal.
I can't wait. I think the way they treat the Star Cruiser / hotel thing is, it's like you're being sort of transported to Galaxy's Edge.
Yes, you get an identity.
It's pretty cool, and you get like loads of different tasks to do in like the ship themed hotel. I can't wait to do that. I am going to be in my element. I'm going to be like a kid.
Yeah.
In a candy shop.
Yeah.
I might even go in full cosplay.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. No, the entire thing is just so well done. Like I say, then they've got the cantinas, they've got droid building, lightsaber building, the two main rides that they've got there. Of course, you've got the Millennium Falcon, which is an interactive one. You've got a team of 4. You're either the gunner, the winchman, or the 2 pilots. And depending on where you go in, you get allocated a seat. So you've got to hope that you're one of the pilots. Or one of you is a pilot and the other one's a gunner.
I'd want to be the gunner.
Yeah. But of course you've got high scores to hit. If you hit the high scores, then you can unlock the asteroid section, which is literally only if you hit that section. So if you hit the high score, you get the asteroid section, which is it elongates the ride a little bit, and you can get another high score. And that's obviously what you're trying to aim for. And we've done it where people are absolutely terrible. You get like 10-year-old kids like flying the Millennium Falcon and you're just crashing off the walls and things every 2 seconds and stuff. You're like, Jesus Christ, this isn't going good. But and this is how detailed they are, depending on how much damage you do like to yourself during the ride, when you come back out into the hallway of the Millennium Falcon afterwards, the lights will be flickering. If it's really damaged, they'll be like flickering really badly. If it's like not damaged at all,
walking out there like that wasn't me.
if you haven't done any damage, there's no lights flickering. It's just a normal, like, the hallway's all fine and things like that. It's just so well done. Like the interactivity, it's just another level. And one ride you'll get the experience before I will, because it wasn't open for me, was the First Order ride. Which is kind of an escape kind of thing where you're on this like shuttle thing and it's all 3D and there's like a huge army there and Kylo Ren's like slicing through the roof and you see this blade going past your head and like that wasn't there when I was there. It wasn't open yet, so I haven't experienced that. So.
I watched a 30-minute video on the hotel thing, and the amount of bloody detail in it is immensely great. And like that actors they get, they really make them look like the characters. So there's a woman that plays Rey. She looks very like Daisy Ridley.
Yeah, I've seen her actually walking around the park, and she does look unbelievably similar. You're like, holy shit!
And like they like on the hotel thing. I think it's on like the final like wind down of the 2-day stay in that hotel. They actually Kylo Ren and her fight, and it's pretty well done as well. Like the choreography is really done well.
Yeah,
between the both of them.
Definitely, and of course you go that, and then you've got stormtroopers walking around with Kylo Ren in the parks and things like that, as like giant like marching orders around the parks, and they'll interact with the crowd and things like that, and they've all got like these set speech things, and they're always picked on me. So when I went there, I was just standing in the crowd like recording, and the guy, like stormtrooper, literally stopped, looked at us, pointed, and then just went. I was like, what the fuck? I was like, why me? I was like, that's not good. But super interactive, really enjoyable. You'll have an amazing time. You really will. But I can absolutely guarantee when you finish and you come back, you'll be like, I want to go again. I want to go back. It's an entirely different world.
Yeah, I can't wait. Yeah. Well, we're either aiming to go sort of November time next year, so like it's well over a year away before we're going to go, or probably early January, around about the same sort of. Still a long time away. But yeah, it's going to be something I'm saving up for, and my dad's saving up for as well. So we want to try and do as much as we possibly can there because we're both Star Wars fans.
Yeah. No, you thoroughly enjoy. But what I will say though is you definitely need to have a look at the other parks because Animal Kingdom's insane. Obviously, you've got Avatar Land there.
We are going to go Universal Studios as well because it's something my dad really wants to do.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, like I say, Avatar Land is outside of Star Wars, Galaxy's Edge. Avatar Land is the second most detailed thing you'll see in Florida in terms of the level of detail. Of course, they've got the floating mountains and everything there. They've got all of these luminescent things that will light up at night time that you can't see during the day. Of course, the Flights of Passage ride is absolutely insane. And then you've got things like the Everest ride as well, which is literally Mount Everest with a roller coaster in it. There's just so much there, so much. Water rapid rides, an actual safari with all the safari animals, lions, tigers, giraffes, white rhinos, everything. But they've got it set out so it's, for them, it's natural land. It's really well done the way they've done it actually. So they feel like they're in an open scenario, but they've got invisible walls that prevent them from getting into each other's habitats. So the invisible walls are like fake rock faces and things like that. Like, so the animals just think it's just a natural place, and there doesn't look like no fences that tie them off. It's like these giant like fake rock faces that they've built, or trees that they've like purposefully planted in certain areas so that like the animals just look like and feel like it's in a natural habitat. And on night time, because of the way some animals are nocturnal and not nocturnal, they've got a fake sunset light. So they've got a light that kind of beams across that it's like an orange light. So at night time, it feels like literally the Sahara, and it feels like that weird like orangey glow over the top of it, even though it's not. So it gives the animals the perception of being in a comfortable kind of habitat, should we say, that they love to be in. So unlike like a zoo or something like that, it feels unbelievably natural for them, and they're super super comfortable. Like even the lions and things will be sitting on top of giant like perched rocks and things like that, just like really comfortable and chilled out, and like, holy shit, like this is super good. But it's they've really thought about everything. Yeah.
It's going to be 2 weeks, and they're probably going to fly by. Like,
Oh,
we're
God, aye.
going for like 2 weeks.
God, yeah. If you're anything like us, you get up super early in the morning, and if you've got the park tickets and things like that, especially if you're staying at Disney, you get what's called magic hours. So if you're staying on Disney property, you get extra time before the public to go into the parks, get on the rides first. You also get magic hours after. So certain days of the week, you've got an extra hour or 2 hours after the park's closed to the public for those staying on Disney property to enjoy it.
That's pretty cool.
Without the public, which is really cool. It's added benefits of staying on Disney property.
Which we will be doing.
Yeah.
Might as well.
Yeah, exactly. And like I say, the hotels as well are another level, an absolute another level. And enjoy them. But yeah, before we, speaking of going back to Jedi though, we'll round it off. We'll have a little bit of a shit sandwich. So we started off talking about good games, bit of a shit bit in the middle there, talking about why we shouldn't release broken games. But rounded off with the good things we're enjoying about Jedi as well, or have enjoyed about Jedi to this point. Jen, do you want to start the things that you have enjoyed about Jedi in terms of story, gameplay, etc.?
I will say definitely the overall combat mechanics feel a hell of a lot smoother in comparison to the first game. Initially, when like the load up, the graphics were amazing. Obviously, the stuttering kind of reduces that experience, but that's not the game as a whole's fault. It's the performance around it. Probably around about 3 hours into the game. Just to brush up on another negative, there is some issues with the checkpoint in the game. And that's kind of annoying. I don't really recall that in the first game having any issues with checkpointing. But there was a point where like it must have been like a 20-minute gap, and I like refreshed my console and I had to do like the whole 20-minute thing again a couple of times because it didn't checkpoint, and I was trying to get the game to, fix itself, and to no effort. That didn't work. But yeah, you get your abilities pretty quick off the bat. It's more the first level is treated more like a tutorial. It's to bring you back up to speed with different styles of your lightsaber, whether you going single, double-sided, or dual wielding. Dual wielding is my personal favorite.
Yeah.
They also give you your lightsaber colors very early in the game as well, so you get those back. I'm guessing there's more to unlock throughout the game, but again, I'm only like 3 hours in, so
yeah,
I'm not sure. So yeah, I can get my purple lightsaber pretty much right off the bat. I haven't got to wait for that.
I wanted a red one, but you can't get that straight away. You can get orange, you can get blue, green, purple, white, yellow, but not red yet. I want a red one. One
of the positives I do like that's changed from the first game is dismemberment, because in the first game it kind of felt cheap, slicing at stormtroopers and their arms not falling off.
Yeah.
So yeah, that felt good to be able to do that. Actually, watch stormtroopers' arms or legs come off,
or the beasts, like chopping beasts' heads off and things like that. Really,
yeah,
really
it's
cool.
Pretty much it's all the good things about the previous game, and they've expanded upon that to make things better. Like, everything is a smoother experience, regardless of the technical issues that the game's got.
Yeah. And we have to realize as well, the first game didn't launch with 60 frames. The first game launched with 30, and then added the Series X enhancement, which brought 60 frames at 4K. So of course,
I was one of the people that didn't play the game at launch, the first one. So
you got to experience it with the 60 later. Yeah. Yeah, I was the one that I haven't played the first game. This is probably why, I'm more okay with it, because I haven't played the enhanced version of Jedi. I played Jedi when it came out at 30. So that's how I've known how to play it. So having not played it in 60 is probably why I'm okay playing it with 60, without 60. and okay in quality, because I was like, well, I played the first one in 30 frames, so it was all right. I can deal with that. But you didn't. You played the first one at 60.
Yeah, I didn't. That was around the time when I kind of was dissatisfied with EA's Star Wars, so I held off, and then it just took me a while to get around to actually playing it, and then I finally did last year. I got around to completing Jedi Fallen Order. I almost called it Survivor then.
Yeah, but it was a really, really good game, and the one thing that I love about this one so far is it just kicks you straight back into it. The story beat straight away is really good. You're like in the middle of some mad kind of heist at the beginning where you're in Coruscant and you're doing this mission. You've got to kind of steal information and come out of it all right, and it's just a mad opening section, really well done.
That first boss fight as well is really well done.
Yeah. The one thing I did like, and we spoke about this before, is before we kind of started, is I wonder how they're going to operate the powers. And thankfully, you've kind of got all of your base powers from the off. So you pull and you push and you're doing all this stuff. But the benefit of this one this time is that it's an expanded tree, so all them things can get more powerful this time around. So you can get and you've got a lot to unlock because it's a big RPG now. It's not just a little kind of linear-ish game with some semi-open sections. Now it's big open sections, lots of things to unlock and increase. So your force powers can get much better. Your lightsabers fighting can get much better, and you can learn loads of techniques. You've got your health systems that you can kind of increase and get better at. So, yeah, I think they've done that.
You can actually do Jedi mind tricks as well.
Yes.
And you get an option to go like
mind control. Slow
either
motion.
direction, whether yeah, it's a shame I just can't continue to play it.
Yeah,
that's the biggest disappointment.
Yeah,
hopefully it's not too long till it's fixed and the game comes down in price a bit, because I will not be paying full price for this now.
Yeah, it's a damn shame, and I don't know whether or not it would have been good for them. What would your thoughts have been if it had have launched with 30 and they didn't mention a performance mode, and then they dropped a performance mode afterwards, like they did with the previous Jedi?
I would have held off for the 60.
Yeah.
It's why I got a refund, mainly, because I just can't really sit there and stomach 30 FPS when it's fast-paced.
If they didn't announce in the first place it was going to have it, and they just went, it's launching 4K 30, bells and whistles, and they didn't mention a future one, what would you have done then? Because I know you were looking forward to the game.
I would have still held off.
Yeah.
I would have got a refund and just waited.
Yeah. That's fair.
As much as I am a huge fan of Star Wars, I'd rather wait and play it where I can enjoy it to my own comfortability.
Yeah. That's fair. But I thoroughly like to say, sound-wise, story-wise, the open world it's so much bigger. Like originally when I went into the game, I thought, right, I'm going to play through this game, I'm going to get to the end, and we'll do X, Y, and Z, and it's probably going to be another game that I want 100% because I really loved the previous one. And it doesn't have any kind of difficulty achievements on this one, so it's just based on what you can do in the game. So I'm going to go for the 100% on it, and then I got into it, and again I was like, it's going to be another Hogwarts, this, isn't it? It's like it's another 40-50 hour game. as soon as I got into the open world section, I was like, oh my god, this is so much bigger than I thought, and it's got like hidden segments everywhere, and it's got loads of traversal, and it's got like hidden rooms and different upgrades everywhere, and like the cosmetic boxes are like stashed in really remote places that you.
And if it's anything like the first game, you've got to wait until you've unlocked all the abilities to come back to do specific things.
There's a load of boxes I can't open right now, a load of areas I can't get through at the minute because I don't have the abilities. Woof. Jesus. And yeah, to little Laura in the chat, I know you said you've 80 hours for you. I put all in all 100% in the game, 72 hours. It took 66 hours, just over 66 hours for the main game completion, and then I had to do the every house to the chambers bit each time. It's like 70 odd
I
hours.
still need to go back and do Hogwarts, and I should probably do that while I'm waiting for the patch to come for Jedi.
Absolutely. Yeah, and you'll understand why it's up there as one of my games of the year this year. But absolutely.
I think I'm about halfway through Hogwarts.
Oh, you need to get to the final
when I
battle.
Stop streaming it.
You not right. Get up after this.
I need to. I should. It's one of those fucking problems I have with open world games. If I get distracted by something else, I find it difficult to get back into. And it's not because the game's bad or anything like that, because I absolutely loved what I played of Hogwarts. I mean, I streamed it multiple times before I stopped for obviously personal reasons and
I
the
think
way
that's
specific
died down now. I think you'd be all
people
right,
would
even
attack people's channels. Yeah, I probably will. Maybe I will start streaming that again now that all that hate died down with the specific people attacking others for playing the game.
Yeah. They've got something else to direct their hate at now anyway, the Amazon Prime fucking series that they're bringing out for it. Let them direct their hate at that now. They can do that. They're not gonna...
Speaking of which, did you see the teaser trailer for the Twisted Metal show?
Yes. I'm not sure on that. And it's only in the US, so we're gonna have
I'm not sure
we're gonna
either.
have to sail the seas to watch that one.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure on that either.
Yeah. I don't know.
I think it's going to be another Uncharted.
So, I mean, that's not a bad thing to me. I thought Uncharted was an easy watch, but I was never thoroughly invested in Uncharted.
I've just heard bad things about it. It's put me off of watching it.
Oh no, I think if you, for an easy watch, if you just want something to throw something on where you don't really have to pay too much attention to it, I think you'll enjoy it. It's kind of just like another an Indiana Jones basically, but without Indy. It's just one of them. Yeah, easy watch. But yeah, honestly, yeah, I'm only 6 hours into Jedi Survivor now. I can absolutely see this game taking at least 50 hours. I don't know where I'm gonna get the time. I don't think I'm gonna stream it. I'm gonna save streaming for something else. I haven't really, again, after spending so much time podcasting and creating a showcase the other week, I've kind of just stood back from streaming games for a second just to give myself a little bit of a break, and then just do like the podcasts in between. So I can actually just sit there and just enjoy games. Because with Hogwarts, I was able to just sit there and just enjoy the game without streaming or anything like that. And sometimes you need to do that. Sometimes there's certain games where you're like, oh, I'll stream this one. And there's other games where you play them and you're like, nah, this game's for me. I just want to sit there and just enjoy this game and not stream it and not worry about.
That's probably what I'm going to do with Jedi Survivor when it's fixed and I pick it up when it's on sale.
Yeah,
I won't be streaming it now.
No.
I think that moment's passed.
I think so. The next games I'm going to be streaming, I think I'll be streaming a little bit of Redfall. So we'll probably do a bit of PC gameplay on that. Stream a bit of Redfall. And then I think the next game after that I'll be streaming is probably Diablo. Definitely be streaming Diablo. I love that game. I'm going to be playing that game to death.
Yeah, I'll probably be picking that up day of release as well.
Yeah, 100%. But yeah, so to kind of cap the show off at the end there, Jedi Survivor, brilliant game, awesome story, really cool combat, improved on everything that the first game did and made it all better. Negatives, performance is dire right now. Specifically the performance mode. In quality mode, you can probably have an enjoyable experience if you're okay with 30 frames. If you're not, and you're absolutely adamant you want to play this game at 60, then wait. Give it a couple of weeks to a month. See how many patches come out. If you have had it, keep it installed so you can see what the patches are. If you don't have it or you got a refund, you can install it via the Xbox app, so at least you can see when the updates are coming for it. Keep the game up to date, and when you if somebody else has it, like for me, for instance, for anybody who hasn't got it, ask me to check on what performance mode's like. I'll go in, check, see how stable it is, if I've got any issues, etc. with it after patches. I'll let you know whether or not it's worthwhile picking up again. Aside from that, everybody needs to go and check out Benedict Fox, or Eggs Benedict. Awesome little game. Definitely the Lovecraftian element, the graphics, the sound quality, the puzzles. Really cool little game. Definitely enjoyable. Aside from that, if you're on PC or have a good enough PC, Cassette Beast is out now as well, so that's another game you need to check out. And of course, along with Redfall next week, we've got Ravenlock as well, which I'm super looking forward to. Really looking forward to. Awesome art style. Love the voxel art stuff. There's been a number of games that have done that. Like The Tourist was voxel art. Echo Generation was voxel art. This one's voxel art. We've got Replaced coming in a not too distant future. That's voxel art. The Last Night, which is still in the making, that's voxel art. It's such a cool art style. Fully appreciate that one as well. It's so different, but it really stands out. It's a kind of mixture between 2D, 3D, in kind of in between. We've got the same thing kind of going on with Eiyuden Chronicles 100 Heroes. That the JRPG one, the turn-based one that's coming out in the next couple of months, that's voxel art-ish as well. That's kind of an anime segment for the characters on front of it, so that's different again. But yeah, some awesome indie games out now. Absolutely recommend everybody go out and check them out. They're in Game Pass, so you can't miss on any of them. And of course, for those of you enjoying Jedi Survivor on 30, enjoy it. For those of you who are not impressed by the 60 frames mode, get a refund for the time being. Or if you can hold out on it and just sit on it for a bit and let it get patched without getting a refund, then do that. But if you're not enjoying
most importantly, though, if you are having issues with it, speak out.
Yeah.
Because speaking out, hopefully this puts a damper on these types of things happening in the future.
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. But until next time, chaps and gents and ladies and everybody watching or listening, both live or on demand, hope you enjoyed the show today. This is our first weekend edition for a while. We'll be back again in 2 weeks for another weekend edition. Of course, we do these. I'm meant to be doing these every fortnight, so in 2 weeks' time we'll have another one. And of course, we are back again this Wednesday for the weekend edition. I'm not sure again on the Sea of Tuesdays as yet. We'll see how I feel, whether or not I'm back doing that. But I know Mick probably will be, and a few others. So if I'm not on Sea of Tuesdays, I'll definitely be pointing you in the direction of Mick, so you can go to his channel and watch it.
I'll finally be able to join Mick on that because now I'm wired again.
Yay!
My internet connection. No more wireless trash internet. That was causing so much lag issues when I was trying to play.
Yes. Yeah, really bad.
I'm glad I'm wired again because now it's
the way it should be.
Stress-free and I haven't got terrible latency and ping and I don't feel like I need to cry if I die.
Yeah, that's exactly what it's like here. Like I've got everything wired up now, and I went through a period where everything was wireless, but the only thing wireless now is the gaming laptop, and that's because most new laptops now don't come with Ethernet ports. They just don't. You've got to use adapters and plug them into the Lightning port to get Ethernet. However, it does have Wi-Fi 6, so it's not so much of it. It's kind of it's all right. It does the trick, which is why I can stream in 2K. But all consoles, whether it be the PlayStation or the Xboxes, all of those are hardwired. Absolute must. 100% a must. But yes.
So there's one thing you need to watch for the next weekend edition.
Yep.
Power Rangers Once and Always. Yep, it's on Netflix.
Oh. What, is it a new film?
It's sort of like an extended episode of the classic Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. Most of the cast returned.
Nice.
So yeah, check that out. It's brilliant. Me and Stu absolutely loved it. As you know, I'm a massive Mighty Morphin Power Rangers nerd. I grew up with it, so I've got a soft spot for Power Rangers. Not so much the new sort of newer series, but if it's anything to do with the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, I'm game.
Yeah, absolutely. But yes, thank you to everybody who tuned in again today. I hope you enjoyed the weekend edition. Again, this is a little bit more chilled out, so that's why we went on a tangent about Disney World and things like that and stuff. But that's exactly what this show's about. It's just being able to chill out and talk whatever we want to talk about, and relax, whether that be gaming or pop culture or anything in between. So I hope you enjoyed it. Of course, if you did, like, share, and subscribe. If you want to support the channel a little bit more, we have super low tiered memberships now at just a singular dollar. So you can get access to the emojis, or you can go full tier and give super support or whatever. But they're available there as well. Merchandise store is currently down at the moment, undergoing maintenance. So while we still have merchandise and it's there to buy, or there's a shop on the page, the merchandise store is under maintenance at the moment, so it'll just take you to a dead link. But that won't be long until that's back up and running again. Another week or so. We'll have a couple of bits of more merch on there, including things like Gamescom tops and t-shirts and things as well. As of course we're going to Gamescom this year, so we'll have a specific one for Gamescom. Yeah, other than that, Jen, let people know where they can find you and when you're going to be streaming next.
Yeah, I should be live at some point tomorrow, most likely in the evening.
Awesome.
The usual days will obviously be Fridays and Saturdays. I didn't stream yesterday because I was a bit deflated after the whole Star Wars thing, so I was in a bit of a shitty mode, and I didn't think that would be good for stream. But yeah, I'll be back to my usual streaming on my channel. You see the @ name right over there, at the General C. That's me everywhere.
Awesome stuff, awesome stuff. And again, you can find me everywhere at the WandrinDutch. For those who haven't had a chance to watch the Community Indie Showcase, go over and check it out. It's 2.5 hours of awesome indie games coming out over the course of this year, and for those early in development as well. Some awesome games that are coming out on Xbox, PlayStation, Nintendo, Steam. We've had a load of awesome creators, including Aaron Greenberg, who stopped by and gave some of his most looking forward to. One of them, of course, is Benedict Fox, which is, of course, what you're seeing on screen. The other one's Ravenlock, Cassette Beasts, of course, and Hollow Knight, which is obviously due out this year as well. So aside from that, we had some awesome creators in Boxenberger, Mr. Boomstick, Pong, Steel, Everbun Saga, who revealed his game as well for the first time, and
That looks really good.
and Kiasante. And as a first on this channel, naming the first 4 creators announced for the Community Indie Showcase in September. We've got ACG, we have Miles Dompier, we have Mr. Badbit, and we have Lord Cognito. So there's 4 big guys coming in for the next show already, and we've got some more awesome surprises and some awesome guests, of course, looking to get lined up for that. As we do always want to go a little bit one better, and looking to work with Sean Labrie as well on enhancing the visual aspect of the showcase for September as well. So it's definitely, like we mentioned every time, every showcase is going to get a little bit better, whether that be visually, whether that be audio quality, whatever it is. We're going to try and improve it every time, but we're also going to keep the pacing the same we've had it. I think the pacing now has got to a point where I think everybody's quite happy with how the show's paced, so we'll try and keep it that way. And of course, make sure
Dog snoring again really loud.
make sure it's really really enjoyable for you guys, with plenty of surprises and awesome reveals. So again, huge thank you for everybody who supported and watched that showcase already. If you haven't, go and check it out. It's on the channel now.
Definitely check it out. There's something for everyone in that show.
Yeah, we start off with a bang. We definitely start off with a bang. But yes, thank you again once more. Hope you have an awesome evening. And of course, we will see you all again for the Midweek Mix-Up podcast on Wednesday. For those in the UK and I think parts of Europe, enjoy your bank holiday weekend. And for those in the US, of course, I hope Monday goes over quickly. Have an awesome one, ladies and gents, and we shall see you all again next time. Goodbye.
Ice and flame, call my name. I freeze, I burn, I blame. I love, I hate the same. On my face, I cannot hide from the mistake my parents made. I'm never moving on. Not made from love, a remnant of a selfish motive. Was I needed? Do I need it to go wrong? Polarized, inherent pain pumping through my veins. Ice and flames, call my name. I freeze, I burn, I blame. I love, I hate the same. I embrace the side of me, I only fuel the fire. But is it wrong for me to fight against the balance of my power? History in halves, one brain. I will break the chain. Oh no, tokori wa yobu. Moeru rame koru to boku no ai to kirai ni